My first attempt to post this video was blocked early this morning by the ATP worldwide. All I did was use a small clip, a picture within a picture of me next to the Instagram account of the Tennis TV or the ATP, one or the other, showing the two drop shots Federer hit, one off the serve return and then the very next point to set up set point in the first set against Richard Gasquet in Madrid. As you can see from the bottom left, it is visual content manually detected. So that means it's not like an app or something that scans YouTube. A lot of these companies will use something, I don't know exactly how it works, but it scans all of YouTube to find matchups with their content. But they did it manually. That means some dweeb in a basement is employed by the ATP to scan my videos and harass me, even though what I'm doing falls under fair use. So we cut off the intro so you can see the video still, and we pick it back up with me after showing the two drop shots describing what Richard Gasquet does now that he's down set point. If you didn't watch the match, I'll tell you. What did Gasquet do on the very next point, which is set point 23 minutes into the first set? Federer leaves himself open, vulnerable to the drop shot. Gasquet tries it. It goes in the net. Today on Coffee Break Tennis, Federer, he's back on the clay. We'll take a very close look at the stats at the match and talk about what is next for the Swiss maestro. Dominic Thiem runs into some trouble with Riley Opelka, outlasts him in the end. But is Fabio Fognini possibly a threat? A looming threat to stop Dominic Thiem from getting to what could be a Federer quarterfinal? Davi Ferrer, the last tournament ever in his illustrious career. Will his next match against Alexander Sasha Zverev be his last? And of course, we got to talk about Novak Djokovic, who is back at it as well. He crunched Taylor Fritzy boy Fritz, and with no one knowing if Delpo is going to be anywhere near his best, is there anyone that can stop Djokovic from getting to the semifinals? Speaking of Delpo, turns out still undecided if he will even play his opening round of singles. We'll give you some details on Del Potro. And finally, Rafa Nadal plays a blockbuster opening round match tomorrow against FAA Felix Auger-Aliassime. But ahead of the match, Nadal is already warning us that he is not at 100%. We'll give you more details on that, all that and more, and maybe a little bit more on the ridiculous outfits from the Met Gala at the very end of the show, if we have time, on Coffee Break Tennis. Welcome to the show, folks. Mr. Goat is running around here. We got the goat boat out for him. If he wants to be on today's show, we shall see. However, definitely on today's show is going to be a lot of Fed stuff because it's a special event. The last time he played at Caja Magica in Madrid, it's the venue name, was 4 years ago. The last time he played on clay, a loss to Dominic Thiem in Roma 3 years ago, 2016. And another thing, Federer finally weighed in on the Justin Gimelstob stuff. Couldn't escape it now that he's here next to a press conference. You know, when you're at a tournament, you can't escape the press. Although, I think Nadal skipped out on the press. He didn't want to talk to him. And I don't blame him. This is probably a pretty tough time for Rafa, not having any titles yet this far into the year. Again, this is the first time it's happened to him since 2004, I believe. Anyways, I don't know if we'll have time to get in that stuff about Federer talking about Gimelstob, but we'll talk a lot about his match. And the first thing is, I already mentioned, he won in 52 minutes. First set, 23 minutes. He looked incredible. Increíble. The way Roger was swinging so freely. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a certain comfort level against Richard Gasquet. In fact, the first time I ever saw Federer play was probably 2011, I think, in Miami. And Federer beats Gasquet, I think 49 minutes that first time, and I was thrilled. I didn't care. That was a quick match. I thought, this is awesome. I get to see peak Federer just destroy someone, and Gasquet was top 10 at the time. So I think it was 2011, somewhere around there. So like I said, there's a certain level of comfort for Roger Federer, and Kerry Calvert made a comment that we'll read later that basically says we can't read too much into this result because other opponents will likely push Federer more than Gasquet was able to. Gasquet's coming off of an injury as well. But still, with that said, Roger looked very good. And like I was trying to say a moment ago, This reminds me of 2017 Fed. The way he swings so freely, taking the ball so early. I know he's been doing it since the comeback in 2017, but it looked like being on clay is just like in 2017. He went to the Australian Open. He went to Miami and Indian Wells in 2017, not expecting a whole lot. And so he played in a way where he kind of feels like what Janko Tipsarevic said in his interview with Tennis Podcast. Kind of feel like your plan B might be gone. The getting in long rallies are totally not an option at all. So you just got to go for it and play hyper-aggressive, really tight on the baseline. Federer discovered how well that worked for him in 2017, tried to keep doing it in 2018, did it pretty well at times, not so well at other times. Well, it looks like he has that attitude all over again on the clay. I think Federer feels as though he has even less of a chance if he has to play too much defense than he would on a hard court or grass court or indoor fast court. And so we're seeing him really let loose and take the ball super early, and it was very encouraging to see him go up the line with the backhand so effectively. The drop shot was very effective in this match. I think it'll be against just about anybody in this draw. And I got to say, I'm feeling pretty optimistic. I was before I even saw him play, but this just confirms it. One of the things Damian pointed out, and Ollie, our last video, Ollie pointed out that the drop shot Federer's been working on, and yeah, it looks like it's going to be very effective here. But Damian pointed out that the Federer second serve is better than it's ever been, and we're going to take a look at some highlights in a minute. You're going to see how Federer was so good, and he's so deliberate. Every shot Federer hits is more deliberate than anyone else on tour. There's always purpose. Federer's always trying to do things, and you'll see in the stats that he's very well aware that he has to. You'll see in the stats that Gasquet actually bested him in all the rally counts other than the 5 shots and under, where Federer doubled him, crunched him there. But Federer looks so deliberate, and especially with the second serve placement. The second serve was almost just as good as the first serve in setting Federer up to attack immediately. No defense on the clay for Roger. Although, let's start up the highlights, and you'll see one point where he had to play defense, and he actually looks pretty good doing that too. Terrible drop shot. I swear, I'm much better with a tennis ball in the dropper than I am with the crumpled up paper. All right, so this first point, Federer is put on the defensive. The backhand slice, always so useful. This one is very good, keeps it low, but Gasquet's got such a great backhand. And Federer sliding as that forehand looks good. Right there, he misses that shot, but that's where Federer goes from defense to offense. That forehand goes in. He's got better court positioning on the next ball, and he will be looking to take over that point. So I'm very encouraged. He didn't need it against Gasquet, but against better opponents, I think Federer will be able to hang in there well enough with the defense to at least have chances to create opportunities. And of course, he's going to do it a lot off of his serve. And in a moment, we're going to look at the return game of Federer today. But first, let's look at some Federer serving stuff. So whether Federer finds himself going to net or playing from a step or two inside the baseline, when Federer hits a serve, first or second, especially today, he's almost always dictating play immediately off of the return that comes back to him from his serve. Here's just a little short and inside the baseline for the forehand inside-out winner. Here's a first serve right at the body, followed into the net, and a great short drop volley. And that play right there,
that's a beautiful pass from Gasquet.
I like that play. Gasquet has such a great backhand, but if you come to the net and dip a volley real low to the backhand, I think you got a chance against most guys. Gasquet is just so good with that shot. Serve pushes Gasquet wide, and Federer likes that inside-out forehand so much that Gasquet kind of leans looking for the inside-out forehand, and Federer has no problem going inside in for the winner. And an ace to wrap that one up. Short return, inside in forehand, well inside the baseline.
Just flows through that low ball.
A little lucky from Gasquet there, but I love that second serve. Federer's second serve, it seemed like this whole match was either it was going towards the tee a lot of times, deuce and ad, and making Gasquet really reach for it. When you make him reach on the return, especially when it's a kick serve, so it's high, you can't do a lot with the ball. Federer knows that. He's looking for another shorty. He's looking for another shorty to go up inside the court and attack you, finish the point right there, or at least put you on total defense. first serve misses the tee, and the second serve is going to go to that same exact spot, I have a feeling. Let's see. And having to lunge across, short ball, backhand cross court, well struck. And Gasquet does well to hang in here and put Federer on defense. But Federer is so close to the baseline that he doesn't have to do a whole lot. And there he goes, hits behind Gasquet for the winner. That one forehand, Gasquet crushed it. And Federer is so tight on the baseline that as he's moving, he's starting to swing before. It's almost like before he sets his feet, he's got the swing, the wrap around the ball, and redirect all that Gasquet pace right back into the cross-court forehand wing of Gasquet. Gasquet is expecting the inside-out forehand on the next ball. Let's take a look. So, again, here comes the heavy one. Wraps around it. Expecting inside-out, running there. And he goes inside, and Federer's so good at holding his shot just for a split second to kind of feel out which way you're leaning or which way you've already started running. In that case, Gasquet's already running to cover the inside-out forehand, and Federer's about to make contact, sees it, pulls it inside in for a very easy winner. Remember, on clay, yes, it's known for defense, but it's very hard. It's harder to change direction on clay. Once you are committed, if you get hit behind, volley from the baseline, it can be very hard to get back in it. Although you'll see in a moment, Federer already committed one way and able to do the lunge back. Pretty entertaining, wild stuff to see. Right into the body. Falls it into the net. Easy stuff. Look at that. He's able to lunge back. It's over. That inside-out forehand is so good from Roger Federer. And when he senses he's got the open court, he so rarely does he ever miss that. Let's look at Federer's return position. You'll see Federer way inside the baseline. I love this low to the backhand. It's just Gasquet has one of the best backhands of all time, so it didn't work as well. But Federer is going to be using that against other players who might not do so well with their backhands. And I like that he tried to just poke it up the line because that was pretty much the only thing he could do to still be offensive in that position that the backhand coming back from Gasquet put Federer in. Takes that forehand from right at the baseline. Super slide defense to keep it alive. Gasquet with the can opener, but Federer takes that backhand so early cross. It effectively, he doesn't hit it super hard, but he takes it so early and puts it so deep. The placement for Federer was great. Take a look at this graphic here of Federer's return placement. Now that one by the net, that's the drop shot from the first set. And I think this might be before the first set's even over, so there's not a whole lot of data here. But look, 42% of the returns from Federer are very deep. That 42% of returns has basically nullified the Gasquet serve. Any advantage you get from serving, if Federer puts it that deep, you pretty much lose your advantage there, and it's now like a 50-50 rally point, or, when it's Federer, you can't really call it 50-50. It's advantage fed at that point on your serve. Of course, the drop shot off the serve. That's the thing. You saw the graph. 42% of the returns coming so deep. You're ready for a deep return. And then Federer gives you that. And of course, look at the very next point. This is a thing. Every time Federer had a backhand, he was so effective at hitting it deep cross court, but he also took it up the line enough for Gasquet to be really quite unsure what's going to happen. And then he hits a drop shot. And there's Federer having to jump back and almost keeping this point alive. Just had to show that because that's pretty fun stuff. And I know you don't see the serve there, but this is a serve return. Take a look. I don't have the serve on this clip, but Federer's return is so deep, right in that 42% area, that it opens up the court for a forehand up the line. Gets the overhead. Let's take a look at some of the backhands. Every time things went to the Federer backhand corner, he was able to take it so early, hit drop shots, take it cross court, up the line. It really leaves the opponent wondering what's going to happen. Steps in, rips it cross court. From the base, one step behind the baseline, up the line, clean winner. Deep return there. And the drop. The deep return pushes you back. And again, missed that one. But you see Gasquet kind of hanging back, not sure what's going to happen, and hits the dropper. He had open court, had to rip the cross court that time. Deep backhand return. Love this. Keep it low. And up the line. Might as well have been a winner because he gets this overhead. This was a great win from Roger Federer. And put this comment on the screen from Kerry Calvert. After watching a somewhat, seemingly, I know that's how he plays, lackluster Gasquet, I would rather have had a tougher opponent for the first match back. I don't think we can take much away from this match. And yeah, Kerry Calvert has a good point there. But I gotta say, you gotta be happy with this as a Fed fan. And just like Damian was pointing out, the more aggressive ground strokes, the court positioning, the improved second serve from Federer. It's always been a great second serve, but it's better than ever now. The freaking drop shot. I mean, Federer's got so many options right now that it's going to be really hard to game plan for him, whoever is coming up next. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. Flash up some of the stats. First off, in the first set, Roger Federer got one. Now, there was an ace, so I guess they don't count aces. I guess they only count serves where you get your racket on the ball. Federer put 100% when his racket touched the ball, other than that one ace from Gasquet in the first set. Federer put 100% back in play. That is astounding. And for the match, I don't have the stats on me, but you can see it on the screen. Federer was, I think, around 90% overall for the returns put in play. Take a look at the shot count points won by shot count. 5 and under, Federer dominates in this match. And you can see Gasquet gets the best of Federer in the other stats. Now, there's not a lot of those points, so it wasn't a big deal. Will that be a problem? Dominic Thiem may be able to survive all of the Federer variety and offensive power. You know what I mean? Just keep a point alive against him long enough to force Roger to play a lot of these longer points if Dominic Thiem is at his best by the time he reaches the quarters, if he gets there, if Federer gets there. So that's my big question going forwards is, will Federer be able to make the match all about the 5-shot and under rallies like he did in this match against all the other people in this draw? Let's take a look at the draw. Joker will play Diego Schwartzman or Jeremy Chardy next. Those guys play tomorrow. This is kind of weird in Madrid. A lot of tournaments, you just have one day in the early rounds, especially. One day will just be top half guys. The next day will just be bottom half. They're kind of mixing and matching. Don't know what to expect here. But Del Potro, maybe, we'll read that next after we go through the draw and tell you what's up with Delpo. But Delpo maybe will play Laszlo Gira, the Serbian who's been very good on clay this year. He's been playing the little clay court tournaments that most of the top players, all of the top players really skip. So he's going to be pretty tough for Delpo. I thought Struffy Struff would beat Cilic, and he almost did. Made it tough at least. But Cilic, who's been really struggling all year, Cilic was able to come through, saving match points against Marty Klizan. And a tough match with Struff, Cilic comes through, so Cilic is going to be feeling pretty good. At this point, I'm going to pick him to get through to that quarterfinal. Unless Delpo plays and looks great, that could happen. I like Joker to get through. I really don't see any challenges. I don't think even if Delpo does get through, maybe Laszlo Gira, who's been great on clay, maybe that guy could challenge Djokovic. But again, has he played someone like Djokovic on a big stage like this with a big crowd? I don't think so. That always makes these younger guys nervous. Cilic, if he's really feeling it, like, okay, I'm done with my slump and being terrible, and now I'm ready to start winning, he might go up against Djokovic and think, hey, Djokovic, you're still in slump mode, so I'm going to take advantage of this and really fix my slump by a great result here in Madrid. None of that would shock me, but if I had to bet money on it, Djokovic gets through the quarter. And we'll face the Federer quarter winner. Federer next will probably get Marty Fucsovics. Well, you don't want to count Monfils out, but he hasn't been super healthy, super great this year. He was starting to get some traction on the hard courts earlier in the year. You'll remember, I think he beat Tsitsipas on one hard court tournament, then lost to Tsitsipas in Dubai, I believe, on the way to Federer, where Tsitsipas ultimately lost to Federer in the final. So who knows? That's a tough pick, but Federer, as he so often does, already been seen on the practice court practicing with Marty Fucsovics. So Federer will be ready to take on Fucsovics. Already has his game dialed up on the practice courts here in Madrid. So we'll see who gets through that tomorrow, and then of course the following day. And then of course the next day, Federer will play the winner of that match from tomorrow. Fabio Fognini. Kyle Edmund has been pretty awful lately, but still, Kyle Edmund looked like he was playing better than he has been. I watched this match, and it looked a lot like what we saw in Monte Carlo. Fabio Fognini had like these lulls where it looked like, he's about to like just quit trying at any moment, and then all of a sudden he starts playing great, comes through in straight sets, looks pretty good. We may get more Fognini magic here in Madrid, which is always a good thing. Dominic Thiem got through Riley Opelka, lost the first set, was really struggling. Take a look. This is where he was returning most of the serves from. He might as well have sat down in the umpire's chair. And Dominic Thiem, they eventually go to a tiebreaker, but Dominic Thiem, he double faults, and then he just looks so unsure of where to return. He did it way back from the chair for a long time. Then he tries to step in and can't even just do the little Federer chip back, block back return. Was missing those in the tiebreaker against Opelka, just giving him the point. Don't get me wrong, Opelka serves incredible. And Dominic Thiem looked really frustrated. Of course, he double faulted in the tiebreak, and then he lost another mini break point on his serve in the tiebreak that just looked like he was so frustrated. Loses that set. In the second set, it looks like we're going to go to another tiebreaker. Then all of a sudden, Opelka's not serving as well, gets broken. Dominic Thiem holds after saving a break point. Looked like Opelka could get back in it. Next thing you know, Opelka is laying on the ground. They put towels down so you don't get dirty from the clay. And he's having his back and his hip worked on. To start of the third set, he plays a couple points on serve, and then he says, I can't do it. And he retires from the match. Dominic Thiem wins on a injury retirement. So that's great for Dominic Thiem that he was able to get through, but what a scare. What a nightmare. Dominic Thiem can't feel super good after that. Fognini and John the Milkman Millman, hero of the U.S. Open, well, not for Fed heads. Monster and committer of unspeakable acts at the U.S. Open, beating Fed, making Fed sweat a lot in the very hot U.S. Open closed roof court. Will Millman be able to beat Fognini? Millman's the kind of guy that'll make you hit a million balls. He makes you finish points, but man, Fognini, as we saw in Monte Carlo, can finish points as well as anyone not named Roger Federer on the planet. So I think Dominic Thiem and Fognini, we will get that match. I sure hope. And I think Fognini has a legitimate chance to beat Dominic Thiem. And Riley Opelka's game, it's so weird to face somebody who plays so different, who has such a big serve. Dominic Thiem looked like he was trying to slice stuff low, because anything short and low, Riley Opelka is terrible. I watched him in Miami, and he had 3 tiebreakers in a row, I believe, in the match I saw against Danny Medvedev. And I'll never forget, in the third set tiebreaker, there was more than one time, but the one in particular, Riley Opelka has a pretty easy ball, short, little forehand, put it away, and just completely ruins it. Misses so bad. And then he takes a ball, and he smacks it like 1,000 miles into the air. That's probably not a realistic figure right there. He smacks it way out of the stadium, gets a violation. I'm just thinking, like, God, he had a couple balls. He had one ball where it just barely bounces over the net, and he tries to, like, do a little slice thing with it and slices it, like, halfway up the net. Oh, my God, it was awful. I remember just standing there thinking, like, geez, if I had a serve like that, I think I'd be able to play on the tour because I sure would handle the short balls a lot better than he does. Anyways, it frustrated Thiem playing this strange game that Opelka has, and Fognini, man, it gets strange with him. I don't know if Dominic Thiem will be able to come through that if Fognini plays great. Unless Dominic Thiem plays his absolute best, then he looks unbeatable on clay. Let's look at the bottom half of the draw for a little. Of course, we know Nadal, Felix Auger will play tomorrow. We'll talk about Nadal's issues in a moment. Don't get a lot of time today, so I got to rush through the rest of the show. If Nadal is able to beat Auger, it'll be Francis Tiafoe. Got a good win. Got to credit Tiafoe. Looked good, especially for an American on clay. Cole Schreiber, the Carlton Pickle. I like Pickle to come through against Tiafoe because it's clay, you know. Nishikori will play this Hugo Delien Bolivia guy that I'd never heard of before. Stan gets through Herbert. Will play Guido Pella next, who took out Danny Medvedev, who maybe just a little tired at this point of the season. Medvedev's done a lot of winning and a lot of losing, too. He's played a lot of tournaments. So that was just a really bad first-round draw, too. Guido Pella, if you don't know him, Argentine, who's been really good on clay this year, gave Nadal a really tough match in Monte Carlo. Pella will likely give Stan a very tough match. Not sure who to pick on that one and take the winner of Nishikori and this guy I know nothing about. Of course, Davi Ferrer. Put his stats on the screen really quick. You can see not as good on the serving numbers, but saves more break points and wins more on second serve because Davi Ferrer, his whole career, doesn't have all the weapons. Batista Agu's got a little more firepower than Ferrer, but Ferrer able, when it's really like crunch time, check out Crunch Time Coaching YouTube channel. If you are learning how to play tennis, it is a great place to help you on your tennis learning journey. When it's crunch time, David Ferrer comes through like no other. So clutch, so mentally tough. And he did it again in this match. It was a great match to see him come through. 6-4, 6-4, 4-6, 6-4. I think that was the scoreline. And as you could see in the stats that David Ferrer, again, like it doesn't look like a runaway match, but he saved more break points, broke one more time. That made the difference. He will play Sasha Zverev tomorrow, I believe, the night match, so around 3:30, 4 p.m. East Coast time. Nadal is 10 a.m. East Coast time tomorrow against Auger. Do not miss that match. That's must-see TV. Luca Puig somehow got through Borna Coric, even though every person in the world who knows anything about tennis predicted Coric would win that match. Her catch rhymes with latch, will very likely beat Puig, in my opinion. And Ferrer has a chance there. If he can get through Sasha, he's already beat him once this year. If he can do it, maybe he could get through a Hurkacz or a Puig. Maybe he could set up a showdown with Tsitsipas, who will play Mannarino tomorrow. Verdasco and Kakinak tomorrow. Kakinak surprised me again. Jaume Munada did a very good job to challenge Khachanov. And Khachanov, credit him. He came through. Maybe he's getting his mojo back. It's about time for him. Very talented next-gen player. Verdasco will be tough, but if Khachanov was able to get through Munada, probably can do that. Tsitsipas will get through the little go-kart that could Mannarino, who has no firepower at all. Still a fun player to watch. He's very crafty. We could see Ferrer Tsitsipas quarter. I would love that. All right, that's enough of the draw. Let's just race through the rest of the show. And oh, by the way, thank you for watching Coffee Break Tennis. Please give us a thumbs up. The more thumbs up we get, the better it helps this channel grow. Please subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications when we have new videos. And of course, drop a comment down below. Anything you want to talk about, you could very well be featured on the next show. Although there's very few comments in today's show because we got to rush. Del Potro to play doubles at Madrid before deciding singles. This is tennis.com, Kamakshi Tandon. Juan Martín Del Potro will start his comeback this week at Madrid, but what he doesn't know yet is whether it'll be in doubles or singles. Mr. Goat, I'm going to put notes in your boat. He's up there making a bunch of noise because he just wants to eat. All he cares about is food. Cat food, to be precise. Former Grand Slam champion plans to play in the first round of doubles alongside Kei Nishikori before deciding whether to also compete in singles. Delpo wants to give it a little test, which is smart because he's going to do it in doubles where you don't have to move as much. You're only covering half a court. And Delpo said,
"To me, playing doubles is important. To move, to start to get a feeling for playing an official match, not just practicing. If I feel as expected during the doubles, I'm sure I want to play the singles."
Really says that. The doubles, the singles. Although people do say that. But you know Delpo always says stuff like that. Having acknowledged that he rushed his initial return at Delray Beach this season, 30-year-old Delpo found it tough to be sidelined yet again. It has been his whole career has been rough with the injuries. And I really feel for Delpo. I love Delpo. I know I do his voice, and it sounds funny. I'm not trying to make fun of him. I think he's a great guy, great for the sport. He returned from his most recent wrist surgery to reach a career high number 3 last year before experiencing these knee issues, which is heartbreaking. He further said,
"I found some feelings that were similar to previous years, especially in the months with the grade, especially in the months with the sad gray days. It was frustrating because I was getting far playing a big game. I am a big guy. I play a big game. It's a big disappointment."
Okay, now I'm just adding stuff.
"But we didn't think it was something that was going to take a big time. That didn't happen. Everything got much bigger. The injury started to get more serious. Being here is where I'm at my best, my most positive."
That got silly. Sorry. Hey, that might have been a good drop shot. What else we got? Nadal, this is funny. A Nadal poster hung on Felix Auger-Aliassime's wall until El Chapo, the bad boy of Tennis Canada, came to visit. Auger-Aliassime, Chapo faced off in Madrid for a chance to play Nadal. Of course, Auger got through. He will face Nadal. But not that long ago, he had a poster of Nadal on his bedroom wall. How many times have we heard stuff like this now with the next-gen guys coming? And I mean, we heard this about David Goffin when he was next-gen. He had a Federer poster. Remember that? In fact, Denis Chapo is responsible for taking down the poster. El Chapo did it. What a monster. 2 years ago, during his breakthrough at the Coupe Roger, Chapo stayed with Auger-Aliassime family at their home, stunned Nadal 3-6, 6-4, 7-6. Who could forget? The upset heard around the world in front of the home crowd to be the youngest ATP Masters 1000 quarterfinalist in history. Afterwards, he celebrated late-night victory with Felix, his mom, and his sister. The funny thing about it is that he had a Rafa poster in his house, said Chapo. I kind of took it down as a joke. I told him, we got to take it down. After that, he legitimately took the poster down. He's like, nah, brother, poster's gone. I've got to put one of you up. It was a great moment. I never expected I was going to be here this early, says Auger-Aliassime. That was my dream, and I'm following it still. Even just a few months ago, I was trying to break in the top 100, thinking maybe I'll get in the top 50 at the end of the year. Now, it's great being in the top 30, but there was also a lot of work put behind it. I'm just enjoying it myself now. It's been a long time. Whether you want to compare Felix Auger to Federer, the way his forehand looks, kind of, compare him to Nadal or a young Djokovic, as a tennis teaching guru and genius Peter Freeman from Crunch Time Coaching likes to think of Auger as kind of like a young joker. No matter who you want to compare it to, you got to compare him to Nadal, and that we haven't seen someone doing so well at such a young age in a very long time, like since Nadal. The fact that this poster is very symbolic to me. I believe in these symbolic things. You know, if you set a clear goal in your mind, and you really believe it, even if it seems crazy, I think you can accomplish anything. That's one of the things I love about tennis, because you get to see it happen in these matches. And you're all by yourself on that court, no one to help you, no one to blame, although sometimes we hear the players blame things, and we get to see this process unfold. It's really the closest we ever get to really knowing what a person's like, to see how they react, how they deal with the stress of a tennis match on camera in front of all of us, watching TV, watching in the stadium. So the fact that they took this poster down and said, I'm going to put one of you up. Now he was talking about putting a Chapo poster up. Chapo can still do great things. But Felix Auger, taking down that poster, you idolize this guy like Rafa or Federer as a young man, and then at some point you got to tell yourself, as great as they are, as much as I respect them and what they've done, their career, their achievements, I have to at some point start believing that I can do those same kind of things, that I can be one of those legends of the game. Felix Auger strikes me as a guy who really believes he can do that. A couple more things, then we'll hit the music and get out of here. On Rafa, who Felix plays tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. East Coast time. Don't miss it. And that's the last thing we'll do today. We'll save the other stuff for another time. Rafa Nadal has a stomach illness. Oh, no. Nadal acknowledged that he will be counting on his physical reserves when he makes his Madrid Open start on Wednesday, miércoles, Mittwoch, as he recovers from his stomach virus. I've been going through a virus, the positive side. I've been able to train at least an hour and a half per session. I hope that tomorrow is going to be a bit better. I hope that tomorrow is going to be a bit better. I'm going to improve. I'm a bit better than yesterday, and yesterday was better than before. It is true that when you have a virus, the stomach virus, the body's a bit weaker. There's a bit more risk of the injuries, but of course, this is a very important tournament for me, and I hope to be ready. Hopefully, the virus is not going to affect my performance or how I should play tomorrow. Barcelona was a positive improvement for me. I'm feeling better now, and then I'm on the right path. I'm building up my game, more confidence than I had in Monte Carlo. I'm enjoying the training, and I enjoy playing each day. This is a very important step for me. Hit the music. And what is that shot? It's kind of like a bad lob that gets smashed in your face. It is a very important phase for Rafa, of course. Let's hope what he says is true and that he really is feeling better and more confident than he was in Monte Carlo. Especially, he says he felt better in Barcelona, and you saw what happened to him against Dominic Thiem there. Stomach virus. This does sound worrisome. Felix Auger, if he shows up and really plays great, this could be tough stuff for Rafa tomorrow. Comment below, how far do you see Rafa going? How far do you see Roger going? Give us a thumbs up. Give us a subscribe. Thanks for watching Coffee Break Tennis, and we will see you tomorrow. See ya! Or maybe the next day. No guarantee on a show tomorrow. But we'll do our best.